Hello friends, I'm Satyapal, Associate Professor of English, Government National PG College Sirsa. Today we shall study John Milton's poem on his blindness, and we shall look into the poetic intricacy in this poem, the stylistic part, especially the rhyme scheme, stanza structure, and various poetic devices used in this poem. We shall also look into the meter of the poem and the poem as an artistic whole. On his blindness, the stylistic part of the poem. When I consider how my light is spent, or half my days in this dark world and white, and that one talent which is death to hide, losed with me useless, though my soul more bent to serve there with my Maker, and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact day labor light day night? I fondly ask. When I think about the loss of my eyesight, I find myself in a dark and wide world, even before half of my life has been lived. And one talent, that of writing poetry, which God gave to me, that is lying with me useless now. My soul, my heart, my intention is to serve my Maker, my God, my Almighty, but I'm helpless because I'm blind. I want to present my true account. I want to thank God for His gifts and do my duties, because I have a fear in my mind that when I go back to God, He will chide me. And a question arises, does God demand daily labor from a person from whom light, eyesight has been snatched? He says, I simply fondly ask. And in the sestet, the next stanza of 6 lines, actually 5.5 lines, here answer comes. But patience to prevent their murmur soon replies, God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts. Now my patience in the form of voice of God, it replies, God does not need man's work, nor does he need return of his gifts. Who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. Those who run the responsibility, who accept responsibility, mild little responsibilities given by God, they are God's best servants. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed and post over land and ocean without rest. Now God is not going to demand gifts back from the human beings whom he has gifted. He is like a king, he is not a beggar. He is like a king, and thousands of angels at one gesture they post on land and water, and they work for God without taking any rest. Such a king will not demand anything from man. This is the assurance that patience gives to me. They also serve who only stand and wait. And finally, before inverted commas close, the voice of patience assures him that those who wait for their turn and who are ready to serve God, they are also God's best servants. So these are the two parts of the poem, stanza 1 octave and stanza 2 sestet. For example, such are the examples of Petrarchan sonnet. So this is the octave, the first 8 lines. There is a variation, and line number 8 dies down in the middle, and remaining part is covered by sestet. So the rhyme scheme spent, wide, hide, bent, present, chide, denied. if you look at the last word of each line, then spent is A, wide B, hide B, bent A. Spent and bent rhyme together. Spent, bent, present, prevent. These sounds rhyme together and every sound has been designated as A. Wide, hide, chide, denied. These sounds, the last word of each line, these sounds have been designated as B. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, A, B, B, A. When I consider how my light is spent, beginning with this, the idea, the question, the problem raised ends with I fondly ask in line number 8, means 7.5 lines. This is octave. In a Petrarchan sonnet, there are two parts, an octave and a sestet. You can also call octet to an octave, octet or octave and sestet. And let's see what is there in the sestet. In the sestet, but patience to prevent. From here up to they also serve who only stand and wait. If you look at the rhyme scheme of these lines, then prevent A, that was the last line of octave actually. Sestet begins with the line number 9. So need, best, state, speed, rest, wait. Look at the last word of each line. The need is C, best D, state E, speed C. Speed and need rhyme together, best and rest rhyme together, and state and wait rhyme together. So the rhyme scheme is ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE. This is a typical Petrarchan sonnet, no doubt about that. So volta comes in line number 8. There is a clear cut volta. These 8 lines make the octave, and sestet the last 6 lines, as I have already discussed. 8 plus 6, 14 lines in a sonnet, and Petrarchan or Italian sonnet it is volta. Volta means change of thought. If you look at these lines, I will discuss in the coming slides also in very detail and in very clear cut terms. So volta comes in line number 8. Volta means change of idea. The poet questions, the poet discusses his problem, and the solution comes. The problem, discussion of the problems is up to line number 8. In remaining 6 lines, solution comes. So volta is the change in between. The volta is the change in between. Octave and sestet, in between is the volta. So moving further, if I discuss the octave, then in the octave, the state of mind of the poet is very perturbed, very disturbed. He's very sad, he's very despondent and frustrated. Look at some words which signify this despondent mood. When I consider how my light is spent, actually he is very down, and are half my days in this dark world and wide. The world is very wide and the world is very dark for him, literally dark for a blind man. This shows his perturbed state of mind. He uses the word death even, and one talent which is death to hide. The words like hide, death, dark, wide, spent, useless. All these words signify that that the poet is very sad. Lost with me useless, though my soul more bent to serve there with my maker and present my true account. He is not blaming God. Actually, he loves God. He is a God-fearing man, and he is very devoted, and he surrenders in the feet of God. No blaming. He says light is spent. He does not say that light has been snatched, though there is a contrast. Light denied. This signifies a little bit of complaint out of frustration, but spent means it has been spent, not snatched. So no blaming here. Darkness, death, hide, these words signify the despondent and frustrated mood of the poet. Chide is very gentle. Again, he shows faith in God, that God is not going to snub me. God is going to chide me. Chide means very gentle kind of rebuke. And fondly, not serious. All these things show his faith in God. And if you look at the terms and words carefully, you will find what kind of mood the poet has. Now, he loves God, he loves himself, he loves his life. All this has been signified with a few pronouns. Let's see how. Look at the red words in this octave: I, my, me, my, I. So all these pronouns, they show Milton's love for life, love for his talent, love for his days, and his frustration which comes out of his helplessness. My maker, he says, my true account, I fondly ask, I consider. From this self-centered octave, you will very soon see that in the sestet he moves towards surrender to God. So all these things, self, I, my, me, and he is a slave almost. You see the use of word day labor in line number 7. Doth God exact day labor like day night? He almost considers himself a servant, that I'm God's servant. And here the problem has been raised, and this problem will be solved in the sestet. So this is the sestet, and in this sestet, if you look at his perturbed mind, despondent mind, and frustrated mood gets replaced with patience. He has personified patience, but he has also underlined the fact that he is patient, and he will patiently wait for God's response. He is assured, but patience to prevent that murmur soon replies. Notice the word soon. He is assured, he is happy. He doesn't complain. He accepts whatever God does. God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts. This is the assurance. And earlier in the octave, the world was that of darkness and death and hide and useless, nothingness. A sort of nothingness prevailed there. While in this sestet, if you look at, then kingly world and a world of angels. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed. कोई कमी नहीं है वहां पर. Thousands of angels. They post over not only on over land, but over land and ocean everywhere. There are angels. There is no need for giving orders even. Bidding speed. One gesture suffices. And all these things show the contrast. Now the contrast of the pronouns, I pointed out in octave, it was I, me, my. Now it is his, him, his. From self to the world and surrender of God. Here God prevails, Almighty prevails. His own gifts, bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed. So just like the perturbed mind and the bad mood gets replaced with patience and assurance in the sestet, and the world of death and darkness with the world of king and angels, just like that. Now in totality, the poet surrenders with his master king. The problem gets solved. The nothingness of the octave reaches eternity in the sestet. And see how the movement in these 14 lines, it's very difficult to pose a problem and solve it in a space of just 14 lines, but the poet does it very beautifully without violating any rules of sonnet. One thing new about this sonnet is that, unlike Elizabethan sonnets, this sonnet is about religion, while Elizabethan sonnets were about love. So moving forward, if we look into the poetic devices, then the first poetic device I find is the poem is a lyric, and unconventional lyric, because in lyrics poets do not use personal pronoun I. but Milton has used personal pronoun I, my, me here. And apart from this, there is a contrast of light and dark. For emphasis, if you read the first two lines, then you will find, when I consider how my light is spent and the world has become dark, world and white. So there is a contrast to emphasize what was and what is. Everything was fine, and now the world is dark. Everything is lost, from light to darkness, and towards the end of the poem you will again move towards light. Alliteration has been used in the line, "are half my days in this dark world and white." Some of the students they will wonder how days and dark is an alliteration, because the two more words in and this come in between. Actually, it is a question of stressed syllable. Stressed syllable is in days and dark. That is why this is an alliteration. World and wide, and word is not stressed here. World and wide, these two words are stressed. Therefore, it is an alliteration. Personification, patience with a capital P, and the poet makes patience answer his question. Patience is voice of God. You must have noticed the use of inverted comma in the poem, and this patience has been personified, so use of personification is there. And a paradox has been used in the last line. Paradox, they also serve who only stand and wait. In common parlance, what do we say? कि खड़ा खड़ा क्या देख रहा है, कोई काम तो कर नहीं रहा है ना, खड़ा है, वेट कर रहा है, काम करना. Actually we do like this, but here exactly opposite to it, Milton says they also serve who only stand and wait, and it is right. If you notice the soldiers in the army, then some of the soldiers, they join services, and they retire after many years, and during their service time there is no war. You cannot say that they were not brave or they were not soldier because they didn't fight any war. Actually, when war happens, they are ready to fight. Those who are ready, they are ready to sacrifice themselves, and they stand and wait and they serve. So I compare soldiers with the human being in the battlefield of God here. So apart from these poetic devices, there is one allegory in the line, and that one talent which is death to hide. Here a reference has been made to Bible, where if I define allegory, then I'll say an allegory is a narrative in prose, poetry, or any writing in which the events and actions, sometimes the settings, stand to signify a second correlated order of significations. Perhaps you will not be able to understand it. Let me explain. Allegory means if you say something, then the same thing refers to something else happened earlier. जैसा पहले हुआ उसके जैसा, either in action or in setting or in characters. So that is allegory, back reference, something already happened, reference to something like that. So actually this line, that one talent which is death to hide, there is a parable in Bible, and this reference is to that parable. So the biblical parable, what was it? Actually, in the Bible, about this parable, let me relate that parable. There was a man, he was preparing to leave for a lengthy trip, and he assigned three of his servants with the different amounts of money. These are the three servants on your screen, and this is the master who is sitting in the chair. This master gave money to these servants. One servant, he gave 5 talents. Talents means coins. He gave 5 talents, and second servant was given 2 talents, and one third servant was given 1 talent. So each of the first 2 servants, they invested this money and doubled the given amount very soon. But the last servant, who was given 1 talent, means 1 coin only, he hid the money rather than risk and venture into business. he hid the money, and when the master came back and he demanded his money back, and he said, what did you do with the money? So he called them, and he was very happy to find that the first two servants, uh, what did they do? They doubled the money. They invested it and used it and doubled the money. The third servant, who was given one talent, he did hide the money, and he told his master that he was frightened, and he had hidden the money. So the master was very unhappy, and he ordered to take money back from him. This talent Milton is talking about is just like that talent. So God gives us talent, wants to use it, and wants to multiply it, multiply our comforts with it, and multiply it in the service of God and service of humanity. But Milton says that when I'm blind, it will not be possible for me to multiply it. So if I talk about meter, then a very significant issue for we teachers also. So when I consider how my light is spent, this poem has been written in a perfect iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter, these are 5 feet. Feet 1, in each feet there are 2 syllables. When, I, 2 syllables, 1 syllable in when, other syllable in I. So consider, con 1 syllable, see another syllable. In second feet also there are 2 syllable, the and how, 2 syllables in third feet, my and light. Fourth feet is spent. So when, 1 syllable, I 2 syllable, can 3 syllable, see fourth, the 5, how 6, my 7, light 8, is 9, and spent 10. So iambic pentameter means unstressed followed by stressed syllables, and 10 syllables and 5 feet. This is the system of each line in Milton's poem, When I Consider How My Light is Spent, or you can call it On His Blindness. Look at the second line also, you will find a similar pattern. Are half my days in this dark world and white, and here again are 5 feet. Are half my days in this dark world and white. So and half, 2 syllables, my and days, 2 syllables, in this, 2 syllables, dark world, 2 syllables, and white. Some of the words you may find different here, because in spoken English they are spoken like this. For example, and if comes in the beginning, and then it is pronounced like and in the middle of a line it is pronounced un rather than and. So let's take one more line, and here I was talking about and in the beginning. This and is different from that and which comes in the end of, towards the end of second line. This and is pronounced differently because it is in the beginning. See, notice it is and that, not that. In continuation it is pronounced as that. And that one talent which is death to hide, not to. पूरी लाइन में जब हम इसको बोलते हैं तो it is pronounced to, not to hide. So this is meter, iambic pentameter. Every foot has 2 syllables, and there are 5 feet in a single line. So iambic pentameter, and unstressed followed by stress is called iamb, and 5 feet means penta. Thank you very much for watching this video. Subscribe my channel and keep enjoying literature.